Talk to Me Tuesday. Welcome to Talk to Me Tuesday on a Tuesday. I'm your host, Mari B. And today we're going to have a really, really important show that's going to highlight something that's happening this month. So in the month of March, we celebrate March Madness, which is an NCAA basketball tournament for men and women. This is a single elimination tournament featuring 68 college basketball teams from all divisions, which then goes down to what we call Sweet 16, Elite 8, Final 4, and finally your champions. This is a highlight for many players that dream to go to the big dance. And today we highlight two empowered women that have very different perspectives. So hello, ladies. Welcome to the show.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Yes, it's a pleasure to have you, ladies. I'm going to introduce you, ladies. So I would love to welcome Danielle Wilson. So Danielle has played Division II women's basketball at University of Texas at Permian Basin, better known as UTPB. Upon graduation, she took her talents overseas, playing at Morocco and Australia. So we would love to welcome you, Danielle. You have a great perspective that I want to highlight in today's show.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And then we have Jade. Jade is currently a sophomore at Austin High School, as it received many honors recently, as in this year, such as 26-6A District Defensive Player of the Year, First Team All-District Academic All-District, and contributed in 2020-2021 District Champions, by District Champions, area finalists, which is the first time in school's history. So welcome, Jade Clack.
Hi, thank you.
So it's such a pleasure to have you, ladies. I know Jade is going right now on the way to basketball practice. So I think this is awesome and just says a lot that you ladies are here and committed. So, it's such an honor to have you guys. But before we talk about basketball, everything basketball, let us know a little bit about you. I'm going to start with Danielle. Where are you from and what are you currently doing?
So I am originally from San Diego, California. I was born and raised there. I lived there almost all my life. But now I reside in Tucson, Arizona, and I am a college and career counselor at Baba Kavari High School.
Nice. That's awesome. So Jade, now I want to kind of switch it on to you. So how old are you and what are some of the things that you like to do when you're not on the court?
I'm 16, and when I'm not on the court, I'm really just like taking care of my siblings or, with my family.
Nice. Family girl. I love it. And Jade, tell us a little bit what you're currently doing to prepare for next season or even college basketball.
Currently, I'm playing on a club team. It's called Cypher Premier, which is out in Houston. And throughout the spring and summer, I'll really be working on getting stronger and working on my inside and out getting forward.
Nice. So we're going to hear a little bit more about that, your journey, as a sophomore going into junior year. So I think this is awesome. So Danielle, are you currently doing something in your career right now that focuses on basketball or just the academic side?
So for me right now, I'm just focusing on the academic side. I'm not currently doing any basketball, but I still miss it every single day. I miss playing. I miss coaching, being involved with the young female lives. But hopefully in the future, I'll get back to it. But right now, it's just mostly academics.
Yeah, well, we're definitely going to tap into some of those experiences that you have had. I think that's great. Even though you're not currently doing it right now, I know it's a passion that you lived through in your journey. So I think that's great. We're going to highlight on that. So now I want to kind of open this up to both of you ladies. I know I kind of talked about what this month means, which is March Madness. It's a huge tournament for college. So I want to know what this tournament either meant to you or means to you. Like, how important is it to step on that court maybe one day?
For me, I know because I've not quite had the experience. I was close, very, very close. Our team, my senior year, we were shy one game from winning the championship in our actual division, but we did not make the March Madness. But you work so hard all year, not to only win your conference, but to make March Madness. Mm-hmm. And there's, sweat, tears, a lot of life time. You just really look into basketball, and during that whole entire season, all the way up until March, that's your life. But March Madness was something that I always dreamt about going to. Like I said, unfortunately, I never made it. None of my teams ever made it. Even when I coached, we didn't make it. We were really close as well. But just to prepare for that, I know a lot of the times basketball teams, whether you're playing or you're coaching, scouting reports are super, super important. Just scouting the teams, making sure you know what players do what and who scores, who's more on defensive side. That strategy game really comes down to who wins or loses in that game and in March. And I really think that's why they call it March Madness, because it's mayhem. You know, you don't know who's going to win and who's going to lose. So for me, even not being a part of it, but watching it, I still get so into it, especially because, if I have my team that's playing or, somebody that I know that's playing, then I'm definitely biased a little bit. But March Madness is, it's still very important to me as well, even after playing and coaching and everything else.
Now, you did say something that's very important before I move on to Jade, and you said it becomes life, leading up to the March time and the tournament. So what exactly, for those that are watching that probably have never experienced this before, maybe a different sport, what exactly does that look like, feel like, and all that good stuff in preparation to get there?
I mean, you have really no time to do anything else. It's just basketball, basketball, basketball. But if you're in college, and of course with March Madness, you have to focus on your academics too. So those are the two aspects of your life that during that time is the only thing you're thinking about is academics, making sure you're getting good grades so that way you can play. And then on top of that is just making sure you're ready for every game, because you just don't know who's going to show up, even off the bench. Mm-hmm. So just being mentally and physically prepared for that, it really takes a toll on your body, but it's worthwhile. I mean, if I could have experienced it, I would have loved to do it. But, that's the name of the game. Some people make it, some people don't.
Yeah, you brought up something, which is academics. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit. But I want to kind of turn it over to Jade, who hasn't even experienced what this March Madness looks like. But I want to know from you, Jade, and even some of those aspiring high school athletes, what does it mean to you of this March Madness tournament?
March Madness, to me, it's more of like a goal. It's something that I want to be a part of one day, or like it's something I want to, play and experience, especially being successful while experiencing it.
Yeah. Well, you definitely will get there, because look, you're doing everything in your power right now to have that road to the March Madness. Now, I kind of want to talk about what that experience is. I want to highlight a little bit more on that. So I know, Jade, you haven't experienced college yet, which you will. But Danielle, since you graduated from college, what did your college do every year to prepare for this, strategize, or even try to get to the tournament?
That's going to be a long, long list, but, but no, it's really, it's a team sport. So one thing's for sure is right when you step on the court, especially, when you first get into your school or you have new teammates, whatever it may be, like even preseason, just building that family style connection, because that's super important. You need to know that somebody's got your back when you're playing basketball, especially. So that's one of the key things for preseason is, building that connection. And then once you get into the nitty gritty and the season, strategizing, making sure your plays are flawless, even though most of the time they're not, but just continue building upon that. And then just knowing your personnel. So that's a big thing about it. If you know your personnel and you know who does what in your conference, I mean, the limitations of you winning are, slim to none. You can have a very advantage on your team, on your opponents, if you know how they play. So, like I said, there's so much that goes into it. But one of the main things for me was just getting that family connection. I mean, not even when I played, but when I coached too. And just knowing not even your personnel for the opponents, but knowing your teammates and knowing who you coach for. Because some kids and some teammates you can talk to in a certain way and some others you can't. But yeah, like I said, you can continue to go on and on and on about what it is to get to that point. But, just having each other's back on the court is one of the key things that's going to help you propel you into that, championship potential March Madness run.
Yeah, it's a mindset, and I know it's preparing not just physically, your skills, mentally. There's a lot that goes with it. And I know Jade right now is taking a lot of great notes, just to kind of what to expect. So Jade, your situation is a little bit different. So I want to kind of hear, what are you doing right now to make sure you play one day in this tournament? Are you watching film of your favorite teams, your favorite players? What are you doing to make sure that one day you can step on that court?
I do like a lot of training. Like I'm big about training, making sure that I build muscle and just have like a hustle and hardworking mentality always, and building my character.
Yeah, I think that's really good. And that says a lot, for you being such a young woman at age 16. I think that's awesome that you already have those perspectives in place. Because sometimes, Danielle, you've seen a lot of teammates, you've coached a lot. Sometimes that comes a little later. So I definitely want to highlight that that's something that you already have a step ahead of the game in that, which, training is important, but then there's a whole nother mental aspect of things as well. So, as an athlete and as empowered women that you ladies are, what was, Danielle, your experience like as a college athlete? Was it what you expected? Was it harder? Was it easy peasy? Tell us, like, for those viewers that are watching right now, or even those that are about to go to college, what was that experience like?
For me, the transition, because I played in junior college and then I went to university, and even the junior college was so different than the university. Once I stepped into that university style, it was tough. It challenged me not just physically, but mentally too. And just being really, really organized is super, super key. Just knowing when and what's due for your classes, but also keeping on track that you're staying at your tip-top shape for basketball. So that's one of the things I would definitely advise anybody that's watching, even you, Jade, is getting that balance. So knowing how far you can take your body physically, but also knowing what your mental state is currently, because that's a huge part of it. I mean, I even tell everyone that, basketball is 80-20, 80% mental and then 20% physical. Because if you're not mentally there, your physical, it'll get you so far. But, if you don't think you're going to make a shot, you don't think you're going to make a free throw, you're more than likely not going to make it.
Yeah.
So if there's anything that you can do is definitely, like I said, just get that balance for your mental and physical capabilities, because that's really, really key when you get to the next level and even further along.
Yeah, that's a good perspective that you bring up, which you kind of highlighted two experiences, university and junior college, which are within each other very, very different. The style, the intensity, the coaching style, the expectation, the accountability, all of that changes and it gets turned to top notch. So I think that's a great perspective that you bring up both of those experiences. Now, Jade, you are not in college yet. I know you're going to go to college. Now, both of your parents were college athletes. So, what do they tell you to prepare you for that college mindset, whether it's on the court or off the court, and the college experience as a woman playing basketball?
My mom is really big about, character. And so she's really big on discipline, to keep up with my studies and to also perform academically. My dad, on the other hand, is all about the hustle and to use my athleticism and push me to be the best me that I can be.
Yeah. Well, when you marry the two of those perspectives, I know you're going to be in good hands, but the academic is definitely very, very important, because if you don't have the academic, you're not going to get to college. So that's a very good perspective. Now, we do have a couple of comments that I want to let you ladies know. I have one from Chriselle saying, for both of you ladies, who have been your biggest inspiration or role model when it comes to basketball? Ooh, that's a good question. So, Danielle, I'm going to repeat it one more time. Who has been your biggest inspiration or role model when it comes to basketball?
My biggest inspiration or role model, I would have to say there's two. So one's not quite a role model, well, not inspiration, but more of like somebody that's helped me. But definitely a role model for that. Diana Taurasi, I've always loved her game. She has been a fierce competitor, even in college, and all the way up until now that she's playing. So she's always been one of my favorite players. I loved her style. Tried to mimic her, but didn't quite work out so well. But another one would be my sophomore high school coach, which would be Carlos Moss. And he inspired me. He only coached me 1 year, and I kept in contact all the way until now. Like, I still am in contact with him. But in college, after I was done playing, he asked me, he's like, hey, are you gonna, just randomly texted me, hey, are you gonna play overseas? And I was like, I thought about it, but I've had a lot of people say like I'm not that type of player. And he was like, oh no, I know your motor, and if you try, you might get that yes. So like right now it's a no for sure, but if you try, you might get that yes. And hey, then that might propel you into the future that you've been wanting. He's like, but I would give it a chance. And it was just a random text, and he's known to do that. And it was just, from that day forward, I've always taken that type of advice. So I've always taken like, you might as well give it a shot, because it's going to be a no matter what. But if you do, and you get that yes, then hey, you chased it, you achieved it, and now you can, experience that. So,
and you can appreciate it a lot more also when you put a lot of hard work and then you finally get that yes. So I definitely agree with that. Now, Jade, you are not off the hook. That question's coming to you as well. So who has been so far your biggest inspiration or role model when it comes to basketball?
Most definitely my mom. She's been my coach for a very long time. And so she's constantly like pushing me, mostly more than she's pushing the other people, but she just wants to see me succeed at my best.
Yeah. And it's crazy because there's a lot of people that look at from the outside in and can see the potential way more highlighted than you can see the potential yourself. So you guys have a lot of role models and inspirations in your life that push you because they see a different side of you or a different worth ethic. And I think that's very great that you guys have those type of people in your corner, so that way they can push you and challenge you every step of the way. We do have another comment. This is Giselle saying, love you, Debbie, proud of you. Awesome. Yeah, so there's great comments. You guys have a lot of love. I definitely want to highlight, keep highlighting some of these things, which is really great. Now, Danielle, you highlighted on your overseas experience, right? And I know I just asked you about your college experience, but even for Jade, what is the difference between the college world and then it going into professional world, overseas in a different country, not knowing anyone, not knowing the language? I want you to talk a little bit about that experience.
Yeah, so for everyone watching and Jade as well. So in, the college aspect, you have advocates. But when it comes to your professional career, you are your own best advocate. I mean, you have to literally ride or die for yourself when it comes to playing overseas, because you are the one that is bringing, your style of play and helping that team propel to potentially a championship team. So at the university level, you'll have a lot of help. But when it comes to the professionalism and, of course, that type of going overseas, different countries, different languages, just watching out, like look over your shoulder every now and then, of course, because we are ladies and, unfortunately, we always have to do that. And that's just part of our lifestyle. But always be your own best advocate. Know who you are and stick to it. If you have a dream, continue to chase it. And, the sky's the limit. If you put your foot on the throttle, I mean, you'll go far.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. Love that suggestion. I love that feedback that you gave us, because it's a different world. We'll highlight a little bit more, experiences when it comes to overseas, that it is a different world. Now, I want to ask the big question. I know we're highlighting a lot of the good, but with every good comes bad. And there, not only that, there's challenges. Challenges is a better way to say that. So now, I want to kind of highlight a little bit of some challenges that you faced as athletes, as women, college, overseas, or even high school for Jade, right? What has been something or challenges that you ladies have faced as an athlete?
For me, I could go first. There's been so many challenges. But I think being a female in sports, you don't get as much recognition as the men. And even to this day, I know times are changing. We're getting a little bit more, involved where, WNBA is now something that's not unheard of, which is awesome. But also, it shouldn't have taken this long. But for me, it's just trying to prove that I am worthy and showing that, it's not just a men's game, it's a female's game. And I think one of those things is that even when you play open gym, some of the guys go really soft on you, that just happens. Until, when you get out there and you start pounding them too, in the paint and everything else. It's just getting that recognition that we deserve is one of the hardest things. I think we'll still be fighting that for a while now, but, it's getting better. Now that we're getting a little bit more, I just wish it was more. Yeah. I wish we were getting a little bit more recognition, because there are some things that men can do that we can't, but there's also things that we can do that men can't when it comes to playing basketball. So I think that's been one of the hardest challenges, is just showing like I am a female, I can play basketball, and I am worthy.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And Jade, I'm going to say you have a really big role because being so young, we want you to see exactly what we're talking about right now in your age, when you're in college and WNBA and all that good stuff, is seeing it being different for women and it being more a highlight and just as equal as the men get highlighted as well. So now, Jade, I want to ask you, what are some challenges that you've faced even in your road right now in your high school level?
So the year before my ninth grade season, or like the summer, I tore my, it was a pretty, rough road. And so I had to sit out my whole freshman year. So that was probably one of the um, biggest challenges that I've had to go through with like basketball,
Yeah,
mentally and physically.
yeah, that's a huge. First of all, I want to tell you how proud I am of you from recovering from that because you're playing. An ACL injury is not any injury is not a good injury, and it's very hard, especially when you're in season. An ACL injury is one of the longer recovering injuries, and that does face a lot of challenges, mentally. So talk to us a little bit, Jade, on how you overcame that. I know, that had to have been tough. You're already getting into high school. You're excited. Oh my gosh, your freshman year. And then this happens, right? So I know with every setback, there is a comeback, right? So you come stronger than ever. So tell us a little bit about what you faced when you were in that road to recovery.
It was definitely hard seeing like all my friends, being able to play at the high level. We were so excited because, we were just in eighth grade, middle schoolers, and then we were ready to play at like a way more intense level going into high school. So it was really sad that I couldn't like experience that with them. But I did have really good mentors, like especially my mom. She, no matter how much I didn't want to do the exercises, the rehab, she pushed me to, do it. And also like my physical therapist, he was really good. And I'm just also really thankful for the people that, um, were by my side through it all. And it definitely helped me with the mental part of the injury because that's most definitely the harder part than actually going through the rehab and stuff.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think having a good support system is extremely, extremely important. There's a lot of athletes that go through an injury, feel alone, don't have family to push them. So I think that is extremely important. And I'm glad that you got to experience that. That got you to that road of recovery a lot quicker. I know for every athlete, an injury is almost like detrimental. You either want to push through or you make it worse. So you almost have to heal before you're able to go back on the court. And there's been a lot of athletes that you guys can name a few, basketball, football, that have had huge injuries and they're still back playing. So giving that dedicated time, not just to your body, but mentally, I think that is extremely important as well. So, Danielle, did you experience any injuries that you can also relate in regards to some of that experience that Jade had?
Yeah, so I was pretty lucky with injuries. The only thing I had was I broke my pinky bone. Just like right before the joint, which is, it only took a couple months to recover. But that, and then once I got overseas, it was my last season and we were going into the championship, games. And I sprained my ankle really, really bad. I mean, the bruise was all the way up to my calf. So I probably did a little bit more and I didn't go to the doctors. I just wrapped it real, real tight so I didn't feel it. But that injury set me back. I couldn't play my best and we ended up getting second in the championship. And I'm not saying it's because of me, but I just couldn't help my team. And so I kind of like blame myself a little bit on that. But being a competitor, and playing overseas, you got to be a little bit tough on yourself.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the biggest, I would say, injury that I had. And I think that's what potentially propelled me to go into coaching as well, just because how severe it was. And I still have problems with it, but, you just work through it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Now, we're about to get into the March Madness of this whole aspect, right? A lot of details that you ladies have for us all viewers. But before we do that, we do have a comment saying it's Chriselle saying, Danielle, what was your favorite country to visit while playing overseas? And then I have one for Jade. So Jade, you're not off the hook.
Awesome. Okay, so favorite country, I absolutely loved playing in Australia, but while I was there, I was able to go over to New Zealand, and oh my gosh, I was in New Zealand, Auckland, the city Auckland, and it was absolutely beautiful. The people were beautiful. Everyone just greeted you like you're a local, which is super awesome. Yeah. And the views, oh my goodness, the views, the food, I mean, just the whole atmosphere. If anybody's watching, including everyone on this panel, please, if you have the opportunity to go to New Zealand, it's absolutely amazing. I love it. I want to go back. I've only been there once, but I want to go there. I want to go back in a heartbeat.
Just one day for sure. We'll put that in our bucket list for those of myself as well as those of us that are watching. And then Chriselle's also commenting. This one's for Jade. And Jade, what's the furthest you have traveled to play?
Ooh. Probably, let's see. I think, I'm not sure. So there were places that I was supposed to go in my season that I got hurt, like my summer season. I was supposed to go to like Chicago, Indiana, and then I actually went to Florida for junior NBA. I sadly did not play because of my injury, but my team did make it there. I did play like the qualifiers to go there, but I did go to support my team. So I'm really looking forward to this summer. With COVID though, I hope that it's all like clear and stuff, because I'm supposed to go to like Atlanta and Las Vegas. So I'm really excited. So I really hope that I can experience that.
Yes, basketball brings a lot of traveling, whether it's obviously high school, college, but then there's also the AAU teams. You guys travel a lot. There's also, any of the tournaments that you guys are in for college. You travel a lot. So Jade, you're in for it. Be ready. Hopefully you like flights because you will be traveling a lot. And, kind of going into traveling, everyone travels for this March Madness tournament. And we're talking about teams here. Flights filled with actual basketball players, the full team, men and women. So Danielle, tell us a little bit about 2021 March Madness. Who are some of the contenders to watch or teams to keep an eye out on?
So for me, I know I watch both women's and men's, but I've been really watching the women so far because everyone has been jam-packed with talent, a lot of teams. So I do have one that's a little bit biased. I've been watching UConn, Texas for sure. That's who I'm biased for. And then Stanford and South Carolina for the female side. I think those are going to be your top contenders. And don't gamble on me with that. Those are my choices.
Okay, I see. So Jade, I kind of want to turn it to you. So do you have a favorite player currently right now in the tournament or even a team? Tell us about why they're your favorite.
I definitely am a little biased as well. Texas A&M is most definitely like my favorite team. I just love watching them. I love the chemistry that they have and how well they work together. And it's like really entertaining to watch. Also, I've been going to games since I was little. So I'm kind of just, born to it.
Yeah. Both of you guys have it in your heart embedded. So you guys are biased to some of these teams, which is beautiful because you kind of see new talent come every year, and new talent, putting your teams on the map. I think that's awesome. So now, you ladies, I know we're talking about the tournament, and alongside with that, just as important is the academic side. So we did kind of talk about that a little bit earlier, and I want to ask both of you ladies, different perspectives I'm okay with, but is it true that if you don't pass, you don't play, even if it's a big tournament like this?
Oh yeah, it's a part of the NCAA rules. If you, you get penalized. I mean, even if you win, you will get taken out of the March Madness. I mean, it's a huge penalty if you have somebody play and they've been ruled out because of academics.
See, very, very important. I know to get to college is super important, and then to play to the tournament. So, Jade, what your experience? I know academics is important. You kind of mentioned it a couple of times. So how important is the academic side, of course, for college, but in your level in high school?
Well, my mom is my high school coach, so it's like, yeah, your coaches will push you to have really good grades, but this is like a whole other level. So I'm really held to very high standards, and it's 90s or above, or I got some type of punishment.
Yeah. So, and I want to kind of highlight a little bit about that. You kind of mentioned your mom is your high school coach. So, how is that? Is there a good, home is home, the court is the court? Is that a little bit difficult? Tell us a little bit about that. We're very interested.
Yes, it is really hard for me, not for her, but for me to kind of balance out the like mom and the coach type thing, because like she'll be mad at me 1 second at home, and then I'm supposed to, I think like it's interfering with coaching, but it's not. It's just kind of how I think. So it's kind of confusing with that, but I like having her as my coach, and she gives me a lot of motivation, and so it's actually, I kind of like it. I wouldn't want anybody else.
You know what's great about that she's kind of giving you a lesson of life. And let me tell you why, because we constantly have to deal with those type of things, especially when it comes to work. When you're working with people, you may not see eye to eye with a person, but if you go into a meeting or if you go into somewhere, you have to keep it professionally, and that kind of is thrown to the side, and you just have to keep going with the task. So your mom right now is teaching you how to balance and just turn it on and off, and not bring some of the other issues into, or stemming issues into, another environment. So I think that is awesome that you're learning at such a young age, because Danielle, I don't know if you can relate with me. This is something that I learned a little bit later, of having to filter on or filter off, right?
And I know what you mean by all of that, Jade. My mom, she actually helped with the scoreboard. She wasn't basketball anything, so she still thought she knew a lot. And so she would give her 2 cents. And, going from basketball life to home life, we didn't really do that kind of balancing. So for you to have that now is super, super beneficial, I think.
Yeah, agreed. And definitely in college, sometimes you travel with your coaches too, and the traveling, they just kind of forget everything, but then when it's on the court, it's go time and it's get to work time. So I think this is a good prep for you, Jade. Even though it's mom and coach, is just balancing out the different levels that you will have in different environments that you're going to have to be able to turn it on and off. So I think that's great. So now going back, this tournament, I know we're kind of highlighting today more the women perspective, but I just want to be clear. This tournament is men and women. This is both collegiate teams, for both genders. Now, ladies, I will ask just based upon your opinion. This is a big one, okay? And it is just solely your opinion. That nowhere in this show are we saying that this is going to happen or anything like that. But if you had to predict, I'm going to start with Danielle. If you had to predict, in your opinion, who's going to the Final Four for women, who would you say is your Final Four team?
So I touched upon this a little bit earlier, but I'm definitely going to stick with that. UConn, Texas. I'm going to say Stanford for sure, and South Carolina. Those are going to be
Okay. So Jade, I'm gonna ask you that same question. Any of Danielle's teams are in your Final Four prediction?
Yes, but mine's a little bit different. I have Texas A&M, Baylor, Stanford, and South Carolina.
Wow. Okay. So we're gonna probably have another show with you ladies and talking about who the winners were, because I think this would be very interesting to kind of get the perspectives and kind of see who actually takes it home. It's going to be a lot of, it's a lot of mental as well, preparation and studying and doing film and all that. So sometimes it doesn't matter what kind of season they had, because once it comes to the tournament, it's a different environment there. It's almost like the Super Bowl or All-Star weekend. It's totally like once everything else, okay, that doesn't matter because this is now a new game. Every game is different, right? So I think this is very interesting that you ladies are giving your perspective on the Final Four. Now, I'm going to ask you ladies a little bit of a deeper question. And Danielle, I want to ask you, growing up, did you ever see yourself as a little girl that you were always going to play basketball and get to this level and being able to be on a show like this and talking about it?
Absolutely not. I swear. So growing up, I loved soccer. That was my first passion. And I always wanted to play. Eventually, when I turned 11, I was able to get into sports. So that was my first love was soccer. And I always thought I was going to be a forward for the U.S. women's national team. Obviously, it didn't pan out that way. I stopped playing once I got into high school, my freshman year. Just didn't really care for the coaches or anything like that. I fell in love with basketball. I loved the atmosphere. I loved the game. I loved even the people that I played with and just how I went from nothing to having that set of skills already as a freshman in high school. And it's still crazy to me. Like, you are so far ahead, Jade, than I was at your age. That, I mean, like I said, the sky's the limit for you. How far you want to go is up to you. Yeah, you're in the driver's seat of your future. So for me, I started late, but found that passion for basketball, and I just took it and ran with it. So yeah, growing up, I always thought I was going to be a professional soccer player, but ended up being a professional basketball player, and I don't regret it. Don't regret it at all.
Yes, and sometimes life takes you and pivots you to a different level in a different direction. I think that's beautiful that you kind of highlighted that. So, Jade, I know when you were younger or as a baby, did you ever know or think that you were going to be a basketball player?
100%. I was kind of born into the sport. I've been playing since I was 4, so it's always been like basketball. Okay. Basketball. That's all it's really been. No other sport.
Yeah. Awesome. And then let's talk a little bit about, because right now you're sitting down, but your height. So both of you ladies, as women, basketball players, it's very hard to see. But then once you get next to a basketball player, you're like, okay, you must play, right? You ladies probably hate hearing that. But Jade, what is your height?
I'm 6'1".
6'1" at 16. And Danielle, how tall are you?
I'm 6 foot, so you got me by an inch.
And still growing, right? That's awesome. So I love the confidence that you ladies bring, not just on this show, but I know that you guys bring the confidence on the court, Danielle, when you played as well. So I kind of want to come to a little bit to the end of the show, and I want to thank you ladies. But before we do that, Danielle, I want to ask you, what advice would you give someone like Jade that's on the show whom is just getting started on the basketball journey?
So I would definitely tell you, whatever you dream about, whatever you want to achieve in life, chase it. Don't ever let anyone tell you no, because they don't know what you're capable of, And I think that's the biggest thing that to help propel you in the future that you want to, and just work really, really hard at it. Yeah, just chase your dreams. And like I said, the sky's the limit. You can do anything you set your mind to.
Yeah, I love that. And I love, 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 love that you said that you are in the driver's seat of your journey, your life. I think that's genius that you said that. But Jade, I'm going to ask you, what advice would you give either to the fellow women that you've played with, or even women that are younger, or like your little sisters? You do have a couple little sisters that are pursuing a basketball career. What advice would you give them?
I definitely say like to set goals and focus on them and work on them every day, and also to know that like it's not always about your skill, it's also about your character and how well you work as a team, not just individually.
Wow, I love it. You're 16, but you're so mature for your age, and I love it. You're like 10 steps ahead of, when I was growing up. Danielle, I don't know if you can agree, but you got it, girl, for sure. So, look, I want to thank both of you ladies for coming on the show and giving a different perspective, not just from an athlete's perspective, basketball athlete's perspective, but a woman. I think that is awesome. We're breaking ceilings left and right, from our vice president to referees on the NBA, the NFL. It is starting now that we're starting to see more of this recognition as women, and empowered women will empower other women. So I want to thank you, ladies, both of you, for coming on the show and telling us a little bit about your journey. I think that's something that we appreciate seeing today.
Well, thank you. I mean, I appreciate you having me on here.
Yes, and we'll have you ladies again for sure. I want to thank all of you guys that are watching right now, and thank you so much for liking the show, but most importantly, thank you for sharing the show. The more you share it, the more recognition we can give for other women that are out there that are trying to aspire to be an athlete as well. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in to Talk to Me Tuesday on a Tuesday. I'm your host, Mari B. Till next time.